Hello students, today we are going to talk about the diffusion. This is fourth part of grade 9th chemistry, chapter number 1, matter in our surrounding. In this topic we will discuss about diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion is a property of a matter. What kind of property? Which is based on the motion of its particle. The motion of its particle. We know that there are three types of matter: solid, liquid and gases, and they will diffuse in each other. If we take some copper sulfate and dissolve in water, after some time the color of copper sulfate spread throughout the water. This is called diffusion. If we burn a incense stick, we call it agarbatti, and burn it a corner of a room, then it spread throughout the room and we can smell the fragrance of a particular incense stick. Okay, so this is the examples of diffusion. So what is diffusion? Diffusion means the spreading out and mixing of a substance. Spreading out and mixing of a substance with another substance. Mixing of a substance with another substance due to the motion of its particle. Due to the motion of its particle means if the movement of gases diffuses in another gases, mix with another gases, mix with another liquid. If some solid substance mixed with another liquid, if a solid substance mixed with another solid substance, this is called diffusion. Mixed one substance into another substance, this is called diffusion. And the rate of diffusion increases with increasing in temperature. What we said that if we rise the temperature, if we heat something, then the rate of diffusion also increases. Suppose if we put some copper sulfate, if we put some potassium permanganate KMNO4 into a glass of water, then we simply said that if we put some water in it and also potassium permanganate and start heating, then the rate of mixing of potassium permanganate into water increases. Okay, so this is diffusion. And this is all about the effect of temperature on diffusion. If we heat something, if we heat the matter, then the rate of diffusion is also increases. Okay. Here we take some example to show what is effect of diffusion in gases, in liquid and in solid. So first we talk about the gases. The diffusion process is fastest in gases. Fastest in gases. The process of diffusion in gases is fastest. If we compare the gases, the liquid and the solid, then we can say that the diffusion process in gases is fastest. So if we take some example, then we can take the cooking food. If our mother cooks something in the kitchen, we can smell the smell of the food in outside of the room without entering in that kitchen. How? Because of diffusion process. The smell of a particular food mixed with the environment, and environment has some particular gases, they carried out the smell of that particular uh, cooking food and reached to our nose. Hence we can smell it. But what about the cold food? When a food is uh, take some while, take some time, and it get cold, then we cannot smell the we cannot smell the fragrance and the smell of that particular food. Why? Because recently I tell you that if we heat something, then rate of diffusion also increases. So hot food is very much the smell of the hot food is very much in the diffusion if we compare the hot food and the cold. Okay, so if we take some another example, then incense stick in a particular room, if we burn in a room, then the smell of that incense stick spread throughout the room. Okay, due to the process of diffusion, and we can smell the fragrance of the particular incense stick. So this is some diffusion. And we can also say that a smell of a perfume, if we if a perfume spread at one corner of a room, then it also spread throughout the room, because it diffuses, because the diffusion process in gases are very fast. So we can smell it. And LPG, liquefied petroleum gases, has a special substance that is called ethyl mercaptan. It has ethyl mercaptan. Due to this ethyl mercaptan, LPG has a unpleasant smell. So if somewhere in our house the LPG is leaking, if we feel that, if we smell the special type of smell of LPG, then we can easily detect that LPG is leaking. Okay, so this is some examples and the process of diffusion in gases. So if we talk about the liquids, then the diffusion process in liquid is slower than the gas, slower than the gases. Why? Because the movement of the particle in liquids little bit and moreover slower than if we compare the gases and the liquid. The movement of particle is slower in liquid but faster in gases. So the process of diffusion depends upon the movement of the particle of a substance. So liquid, if we talk about the diffusion, then in liquid it is slower than gases, because the movement of the particle slower than the gas. Okay, movement of the particle of liquid slower than the gas. So diffusion is also slower than the gases. If we take some potassium permanganate into water, okay, then it can take some time to dissolve in it, to diffuse in it. If we take copper sulfate in the bottom of a glass of the water, then it can take some time to dissolve in it. So this is the diffusion process in liquid. But some gases also dissolve in the water, in which oxygen dissolve in water. Due to this, the aquatic animals can inhale, okay, inhale that oxygen, dissolved oxygen in liquid. And carbon dioxide also dissolves in water. Due to this, the aquatic plant uses that carbon dioxide to make their food. Okay, so the diffusion process in liquid is slower than the gases. If we take the diffusion process in solid, then what about that? The diffusion process in solid is slowest because the movement of the particle of solid is very much slowest, we can say that slowest, and we also can say that the particle of the solid only vibrate on its position. Due to this, the diffusion process in solid is slowest. If we write something in on the blackboard with chalk, then and we can leave it for some days, 10 days and 15 days and 20 days, then we can observe that some particles of the chalk is diffused and diffused on the in the solid, but some, because the movement of the solid particles in solid is very much slowest. If we take two metal blocks and tied them for few years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, then the particle of one solid to the another solid, the diffusion of the particle of a solid to the another solid is very lesser. Okay, very less amount of a solid can diffuse in the another solid. Why? Because the diffusion process in the solid is very much slowest if we compare gases, liquids and solids. So it can take some years and more of the years, because due to the movement of the particle. In the gases, the movement of the particle is fastest. In the liquids, the movement of the particle is slower than the gases, and in solids, the movement of the particle in solids is very slowest. We can say that. So all about this lecture, this is, and in our next lecture we will talk about the other topics. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.